Here's the problem. In Excel, you have these nicely formatted numbers, dollar signs, 2 decimal places, commas, and even a zip code with a leading 0. But when you bring these numbers into a Word document using mail merge, you get these numbers. Suddenly the numbers have lost the dollar signs, the commas are gone, and they've gained an extra 14 decimal places. And the zip codes are missing the leading 0. Hi, I'm Rich Malloy here at the Tech Help Today channel on YouTube, and I'm going to show you in this video 3 different ways of solving that annoying mail merge number formatting problem. And I hope you find this video useful, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our channel so you can keep up to date with our other videos on these amazing Office apps. Mail merge is the most powerful feature of Microsoft Word. If you use it right, you can save countless hours of work preparing customized letters, email messages, and reports. And by the way, if you're not familiar with mail merge, take a look at our video on using mail merge in just 6 easy steps. Now, as powerful as mail merge is, it does have some rough edges, and one of the perennial headaches for the program has been its inability to format numbers from an Excel spreadsheet correctly. Problem is the way Excel stores numbers internally. You may format a number to display as $7.20, but internally Excel sees that number as 7.19 and then 14 decimal places after that. And when Excel passes that number on to Word using mail merge, Word sees that same number with the 16 decimal places. As I mentioned before, there are no less than 3 different ways of fixing this problem. We can modify the spreadsheet, we can modify the mail merge document, or simply we can modify the way the 2 files connect to each other. And although this last approach is little known, it may just be the best approach, if, and it's big if it works. More on that later. In this video, we're going to use the 2019 versions of Word and Excel, but the steps that we're going to follow are very similar, if not identical, for the older versions of Word and Excel. The first way to solve the problem is to simply avoid it. In our Excel file, we can convert the numbers into a text format, which can then be transferred correctly over to Word without any problems. In the Excel worksheet, I recommend inserting a column that uses Excel's text function. This function can convert a number into whatever desired format you need to use, as long as you know the appropriate format code. These format codes are pretty simple to remember. In fact, they are the same codes used in the custom number formatting feature of Excel. Here are the most common codes for numbers. A key thing to remember here is that both the 0 and the pound sign both act as placeholders for digits. The 0 will force leading or trailing zeros to appear, and the pound sign is used mainly to indicate where the thousand separators, or the comma in the US, where that comma should be. In the description below, there's a link to a tip sheet with all these format codes. There are also codes for date formats, and of course, time formats. In these date and time format codes, the letters can be capitalized or lowercase. Note that the letter M is used for 2 things. It can display the month usually, but if it's used near an H for hour or S for second, it will display the minutes. These format codes can be pretty handy. Not only can they be used with Excel's custom number formats, but they can also be used in Word to specify the format numbers in mail merge, as we shall see in the next section. Here's an example of using a format code. In this formula, the text function has a format code that uses a dollar sign, a comma, and then some hashtags and zeros. It will display the number in cell B3 like this. In the next formula, the format code uses the letter M, some D's, and some Y's to display the date like this. Note that the numbers now appear on the left side of the cells. That's because Excel now sees them as text. And because they are still technically numbers, you may want to align them up on the right side just to make it look nice. And here's a tip. It's also a good idea to format these numbers in a different style, say italic or a different color, just to remind you that these numbers are simply text and that they can't be used in certain functions such as sum and average. Of course, if you need to use these functions, just use them with the original numbers. Unfortunately, not every text format will survive the trip to Word. Formatting options such as font, size, and color seem to be ignored by mail merge. Now, supplementing a spreadsheet table with a few extra columns featuring text functions is a fairly simple and direct approach, but it does result in a certain amount of duplication. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Rich, instead of using the text function, why not use the round function to trim off the extra decimal places? That way we can still use the numbers in functions such as sum and average. As its name implies, Excel's round function will permanently round a number up or down to the number of decimal places you specify. In many cases, the round function will work well with mail merge, but you may want to steer clear of it because of the following reasons. Number one, the round function will not preserve the $ or the thousand separator, the comma. Okay. Second, the round function sometimes truncates the trailing zeros off of numbers. And three, worst of all, Word occasionally seems to ignore the rounding that round does. For example, a number like 6.99 becomes 6.98999999, and you get the picture. Okay, now suppose you can't change your Excel spreadsheet or you just don't want to. Well, there is something we can do, but this time in Word. The second way to convince MailMerge to display numbers correctly is to modify the Word document. Specifically, this means adding a format code to the merge fields in the Word document. In MailMerge, merge fields basically tell the Word document which column in the Excel table has the data that's supposed to appear in a particular place in the document. What we need to do is to reveal the field code for a merge field and then add a format code to it. For some reason, Microsoft calls these format codes numeric switches or picture switches. Now, in order to be able to change the field code for a merge field, you first have to display it. Microsoft hides these field codes to avoid scaring us. But to see the codes, all you need to do is right-click a merge field and choose Toggle Field Codes. You should now see the actual field codes for that field, which is designated by curly braces. No wonder Microsoft wanted to hide this. And now that we can see it, we can edit the field code by simply inserting the desired format code or numeric switch. In this case, we have a merge field that is getting a number from the donation column of the Excel file. We want to display the number with a $, comma, and 2 decimal places. Okay, fairly normal format. Now I will insert the numeric switch into the merge field like so. Did you notice something here? As I mentioned before, the format codes here are exactly the same as the ones in Excel. Good job, Microsoft, but there is a catch. For some unknown reason, the numeric switch has to be preceded by a #, or as they say now, ##. Once you get used to this weird ## prefix, the numeric switches are pretty straightforward. Can you guess what these field codes might display? Did you notice the difference for the date code? The date is preceded by @@ as opposed to ##. Also, because the format has a space character separating the month from the day, the format code has to be in quotation marks. Click the link in the description below to see the free tip sheet for this video, which includes a list of other common field codes. If you are like me, you might be wondering something here. Word and Excel are both using the exact same formatting codes. So why didn't Microsoft use the same function format? Excel has this great format for functions, which we all know. Why didn't Microsoft use that for Word? For example, why not have the merge field function look something like this? Good question. You'll have to ask Microsoft. Now, before you start cursing me out, let me warn you of something. When you add or change a numeric switch, the effect may not be shown immediately. You either have to update the field, you right-click it and choose Update Field, or click the Preview Results button in the Mailings tab. Be patient here. On one occasion, I had to do this 2 or 3 times. Why? Again, you're going to have to ask Microsoft. Even though these merge fields look and act a little strange, they can be fairly powerful. For example, you can create a conditional merge field to show negative numbers in red, but that's a subject for another video. The numeric switches in merge fields work fairly well, but I find the process very difficult to remember. Is it a / or a backward slash? Does the hashtag come before the slash or after the slash? Okay, one way to remember is to think \# or \@. Each word in that group here has an A in it, but still, it's very easy to make a mistake. Fortunately, for some users, there is yet another way. Both of the above approaches are relatively simple, but if you have more than a few fields that require formatting, they can drive you into early retirement. A much more elegant and simple solution is to have the Word document linked to the Excel workbook via what is called a DDE, or Dynamic Data Exchange link, rather than the usual, presumably non-dynamic linking process. That sounds a little daunting, but if you're smart enough to use Mailmerge, then DDE might be a piece of cake. I know what you're thinking here. So if this DDE technique is so great, why did I just waste 10 minutes of your time talking about those other two techniques? Well, here's why. Because DDE is a really old technology, and it doesn't always work in the newer versions of Word and Excel. And when I say doesn't always work, I mean like never. And one more thing, it works only in Windows, not in the Mac. So, will DDE work in your system? There's only one way to find out. Let's set it up. It's a simple two-step process, and the first step, enabling Word to open up a file via DDE, has to be done only once. To set up Word for DDE links, do the following. First, in the File tab, click on Options. Then click the Advanced tab on the left and scroll down to the section called General. There you'll see a checkbox called Confirm File Format Conversion on Open. Just check that and click OK. Now here's the second step, and this step has to be done each time you select the data source for your Mailmerge operation. Relax, it's only an additional 3 clicks. Of course, there are 2 ways to select the data file. You can go to step 3 of Word's Mailmerge wizard, or you can simply click the Select Recipients button in the Mailings ribbon. Right after you choose your Excel data file, a dialog box appears called Confirm Data Source. The default type of link is OLE, which stands for Object Linking and Embedding, which is okay for most files, but not now. In the little dialog box, click the checkbox for Show All. Then an expanded list of types appears, and as you can see, Word can open up several different types of files using different techniques. Scroll down near the bottom and choose MS Excel Worksheets via DDE, XLS. Remember that XLS is the old file format for Excel. This DDE technology is so old it doesn't know about the newer XLSX format. Of course, why would it? This new format has only been around for, well, only 14 years. You then might be asked to confirm that you're selecting the entire worksheet. Well, duh, of course, so just click OK. That's it. From now on, the number of formats in your Excel file will travel over to your Word file fairly intact. But one huge caveat here. Make sure that the data you want to merge is in the first sheet of your Excel workbook. It took me 2 hours to finally figure out that DDE does not see anything but the first Excel worksheet. And as usual for Excel data sources, the tables should begin on the first row of the worksheet. Did it work for you? I've had mixed and inconsistent results. It may work for me one day, but not the next, which means I really can't depend on it. But it may be better for you. If this DDE technique did work for you, fantastic. Please post a comment here so that other people can learn from your experience. Be sure to indicate which version of Word, Excel, and Windows you are using. And if it didn't work, well, you can use those other 2 techniques I mentioned earlier. So just to review, if you want to format numbers in Mailmerge correctly, you have 3 choices. You can modify the Excel file with text functions. You can modify the Word file with merge field numeric switches. Or if you're using an older version of Word and Excel, you can link the 2 files via DDE. At least one of those 3 ways should solve your problem. And let's hope at some point in the future Microsoft will fix the problem and we won't have to remember any of this. I love using Mailmerge. It saves me so much time on certain projects. I hope this video will help you to enjoy it too. And if you're really interested in Mailmerge, by the time you watch this, we'll have other videos about Mailmerge. I've had fun making this video, and if you found it helpful, please consider clicking on the subscribe button in the lower right. As a subscriber, you'll have an easier time finding our other videos on how to get the most out of these amazing Office apps. Until we meet again in another video, thanks for watching, and remember, you can do pretty much anything you want. It's just a question of learning how.